Hey guys, I'm here talking to Andy Diggle about the multitude of different things he's doing all across the board. We're wearing different hats everywhere you go. Let's talk about Snapshot first. The final issue comes out this week.
That's right. Wednesday's the final issue of 4.
Tell us about the book for anyone not reading it.
Well, Snapshot's a 4-issue miniseries by me and Jock. Jock being the guy who drew The Losers and Green Arrow Year 1, and Batman the Black Mirror with Scott Snyder. It's something we've been planning for years, and it's taken us this long to get around to it. It's like a little crime thriller about a kid who works in a comic shop who finds a phone on his way to work one day, and it turns out to have snapshots of a murder victim on it. Turns out the phone belonged to a hitman who wants his phone back very badly, and things kind of escalate from there.
So it's the ultimate dream of any comic book fan to find an adventure, except it's terrifying the entire time.
Yeah. He quite likes his boring nerd life, but it gets pulled out from under him pretty short order.
And Jock, a longtime collaborator, what do you look for when you find another project with him, or do you guys sort of develop stuff together?
I don't really know where these things come from. It just kind of seems to materialize. I guess with Green Arrow Year 1, we really pushed for him to be the artist on that because he had a real vision for it. And I kind of warned him, like, mate, you're going to be drawing jungles like for 5 issues. You know, you're going to go out of your mind drawing leaves. It's like, no, I can shorthand that stuff. It's fine. And he'll dab a bit of ink around, and suddenly there's a jungle there. I don't know how he does it. But with Snapshot, that was something I was going to write as a screenplay originally. And I made the fatal mistake of telling Jock the story down the pub one day. And he's like, mate, I'd love to draw that. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. It should be a comic. So.
And are you guys sort of comic book married? Are you going to be working together for the duration?
We have an open relationship. You know, we see other people.
Nice, great, very progressive.
Yeah, I mean, if Scott Snyder asks for Jock on a Batman book, then if Scott Snyder asks for you, say yes. You know, so that's fair enough, right?
You just left one nasty message on Snyder's voicemail.
I'm stalking him. Yeah, it's fair enough.
And so you're also working on Doctor Who?
Sure. Yeah, Doctor Who at IDW. That's been a lot of fun. I'm kind of like the lead writer on that, but we're alternating. So I do the first couple of issues, then Brandon Seifert comes in for 2. I do the middle story, then Josh Falkov was on the next 2, and I'm coming back for the final 4-issue story, which kind of wraps the whole thing up and kind of links together these kind of little threads I've been weaving through the whole thing, hopefully fairly subtly. People don't seem to be picking up on where it's going, which is good. I'm not being too obvious about it. But I'm co-writing that last story with my friend Eddie Robson, who's done a lot of British Doctor Who work. And it's being drawn by Andy Kuhn, who's like one of my favorite artists, and the artwork's just absolutely phenomenal. I'd very much like to work with Andy again if I can.
How does the fan base differ between the British fan base, the American fan base of Doctor Who, both sort of the show and the comics, and how that sort of dovetails on one another?
Yeah, I mean, the fandom seems pretty similar on both sides of the pond, to be honest. But it's just really exciting for us as Brits to see how huge Doctor Who has become over here in the States. Because like when I was a kid growing up watching Doctor Who, it was a very uniquely British thing. You know, overseas it hadn't, nobody had heard of it. And since they relaunched it a few years back, and suddenly it's everywhere now, and it's great. Like it kind of feels like this secret we had that now everybody else is in on. So it's cool. It's cool.
When I was growing up near the Canadian border, we would catch it sometimes on like hazy television, and it was always terrifying to me when I was a kid. But now it's much less that. Do you feel like, do you try to harken back to any of that older Doctor Who stuff in the comic?
Yeah, I mean, we're not being deliberately retro, but like different stories have a different atmosphere, so sometimes we want to do something that's a little bit spooky and creepy, and sometimes it's kind of all-out action, Certainly for my last story, we've gone much more for the kind of pulp action kind of feel to it. The great thing about comics is you don't have to worry about the budget.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is set in this giant world where it's made entirely of sky. There's no up and there's no down, it's just sky everywhere. And it's kind of like a steampunk adventure with like a lost World War II bomber crew stuck in this kind of infinite sky story. And it's got like, flying clockwork pterodactyls and all kinds of crazy stuff, So that's a lot of fun, not having to worry about, whether the special effects budget will fit.
Awesome. And you're also working on Uncanny as well?
Yeah, that's something I'm really excited about. People seem to be really, looking forward to that one. It's a crime book for Dynamite's new crime line. It's like a kind of noir pulp thriller, but with just a tinge of the supernatural in it. Not quite superpowers, not quite supernatural, but just kind of like a little bit left field, So hopefully people won't see what's coming with that one.
And working for so many different companies, do you feel when you go out and pitch, is it you're like, oh, this is perfect for Dynamite, or is it sort of like, I'm pitching all of these things, where's it going to land?
Yeah, I guess different companies kind of had different flavors. With something like Image, we always knew the Snapshot would be an Image book because we knew that we wanted to own it and have complete control over it. Even that the page count was designed to be put, like 28 pages, story pages per issue would be perfect for an Image book, and we can keep the cover price down by keeping it black and white. But yeah, but other books, I'm doing kind of a mixture of work for hire and creator owned and so on. So yeah, if you want to do creator owned, I think Image is the place to be. But if you want a page rate up front, then it makes sense to be working for the big two. So at the moment, I'm kind of like, I've spent a lot of the past few years exclusive to Marvel and DC, and now I'm kind of playing the field a little bit by basically working with everybody. I'm putting myself around, you know.
You're single, you're on the streets,
Exactly,
you're out there.
exactly.
It's all relationship based.
Like I said, it's an open relationship. So yeah, no, and it's good, you know, and you get to sort of work with different publishers and different editors, and you know, you get a feel for what everybody's good at and what everybody's bad at, and you can kind of steer accordingly, you know. Yeah. So it's working out well.
And you mentioned that Snapshot started as a feature film idea and then sort of evolved. Do you have like that basket of ideas? There's like, these are features at home. And second question, does it often jump from feature to comic or comic to feature or TV series, anything like that?
Not too often. I mean, I tend to have a very filmic approach anyway. I don't use a lot of internal monologue and so on. So I think I learned screenwriting, and I think that most of my story structure tends to be very kind of filmic. It's very 3-act structure, which can get a little stale if you're not careful. Yeah. But you know, I don't often think of stories that are naturally long form. You know, I've basically got the attention span of a toddler. So if anything lasts more than 6 issues, I start, you know, feeling crazy and looking for the exit. But I've got a couple of ideas which are long form. One's about the drug war in Mexico, and one's a kind of like urban horror fantasy. And I'm thinking they're either TV or comics, and I'm not sure which yet. But all I know is that it's about, you know, building a bigger and bigger world as it goes along, and kind of peeling back the layers of the onion. So that kind of storytelling requires a you know, long form. But I don't know. I think it would be nice. I think maybe the action one, the drug war story, that's probably a pulp comic, and I think maybe the horror one could be TV. But we'll see. It's just finding the time to do it, because I'm keeping a lot of plates spinning right now.
Yeah. Well, awesome. We'll look for it. Well, good luck as you're dating around. Don't get your heart broken, and you guys don't get your hearts broken here at C2E2 on Newsarama.